So, this is part two to what if female deku was the armored titan. Now, I looked back at the first part, and there were a lot of people asking a few of the questions on like the curse of Ymir and their abilities. So I'm just going to explain it right here, in case some of you haven't watched the entire video. So, she does even. Oh yeah, we also got a name for Deku, so it is Hera Ackerman. Yeah, it's Hera Ackerman. So Hera does have the ability to generate from any injuries, and no, she won't be able to use the hardening ability in her human body, only her Titan body, and the Curse of Ymir is not a thing, so she won't die in about 13 years. Okay, we got that out of the way. Let's begin. So, oh yeah, and apparently the ship is going to be both Annie and Peak. So yeah. So we'll begin where we last left off, with the general telling them that they've been assigned to UA, and that they'll be going there in about 10 months. With Annie, Hera, and Peak being excited about this, as they have never seen nor been to UA before. As the general states that they've been assigned to protect the students there, as he would then, when he would leave, Hera, Peak, and Annie would continue with their training. For the 10 months, they've mainly been focusing on their Titan's abilities. So, Hera figured out that she could run faster, but would sacrifice a lot of her armor, like the armor on the knee area, for mobility. And Annie figured out that she could call for assistance, and Peak figured out that had also figured out that she is very incredibly agile, and all of them now know how to harden parts of their body. So Hera is capable of hardening her hands and her Titan's hands and feet to make them into claws. Annie's one can just harden the parts that we see in the anime, and Peak can harden her nape, and I'll say that she can also harden her teeth and eye areas. So, for the 10 months, they've been training and all three of them relationships have gone closer and closer to where the three of them have started dating each other. With them doing that for the next couple months, with them then arriving at UA, as once they arrive at UA, they arrive in sort of like they arrive in a military transport vehicle, as they would enter into UA and wait outside of Class 1A, as Eraserhead would tell them the normal stuff, and he would also state that they've also got 3 people from the Titan branch of the military, as he would make a hand motion to tell them to come in, as the 3 of them would walk in, as they would then give their names. Annie would go first, saying that her name is Annie Leonhardt, and she is the female Titan. Peak would go next, stating that her name was Peak Finger, and she is the Cart Titan. And Hera would then go next, stating that her name was Hera Ackerman, and she is the Armored Titan. With everybody being amazed that that specially trained soldiers from the military are here at UA, as Bakugo would then scoff and state, "You're probably not even that strong. I bet I could beat all of you." As Peak and Annie would just scoff at him, thinking that he is way too cocky for his own good. As Hera would then pull them both in to whisper to them, stating, "How about how about this? How about I put that guy in his place? Would that be good?" As Peak and Annie would think about this, and then give her the thumbs up to go ahead. With Hera walking up to Aizawa and stating that how about they do a little bit of combat training, like do a bit of hand-to-hand combat training, no quirks, and no quirks whatsoever. Actually, no, with their quirks, as Bakugo, as I would then say, "Okay, then who will you go up against?" As she would then point towards Bakugo Katsuki. As Bakugo would then say that it's her funeral. As when they get ready and head out to the training area, Bakugo immediately comes charging at her. And now, since Hera is an Ackerman, she knows, she basically has all the previous Ackerman's battle experiences, so she easily takes Bakugo out by clotheslining him and then just slamming him into the ground. With Bakugo losing that fight in about I'd say about 5 seconds. As Hera would get off of Bakugo, stating that he should really keep that ego in order, or else that is going to get you killed. With her walking back to where Peak and Annie were, as she since none of the students nor staff are looking, or as I was looking, she gives Peak and Annie a peck on the cheeks, as they would do the same in return. As everybody else would go against Annie and Peak and Hera, as they would all end up being beaten. As they would then Hera's sibling is here in Class 1A, and he knows that Hera was abandoned because she doesn't have a quirk, and that he did. So he thinks that he is superior to her in every single way. As he would then walk up to Hera and and say, doesn't matter if you're training and in the special branch of the military, you're still the weak, pathetic Hera I knew as a kid. As she would just as Hera would let out a grin and ask and say, Annie, can you please pass me a combat knife? As Annie would know where this is going and just hand it to her, as she would put her hand down on the blade and just quickly draw it to like slice her hand, as she would then shift into the armored titan, as the skeletal frame of it, then the muscles, then the armor would form, as she would then then she would get on to one knee and then speak in her titan, stating, doesn't matter if I have a quirk or not. Doesn't matter if I have a quirk or not. I worked to get to where I am. You didn't. As she would then get out of her titan, as she would then get out of her titan and then head back to stand beside Peak and Annie, with the armored titan beginning to basically evaporate into steam, as Hera's sibling. I don't have a name for them, so if you have a name, do tell me. Would be in shock at this, as the day would end, and now the dorms have been put in place, so Peak, Annie, and Hera do head to their dorm rooms. Actually, yeah, they do head to. Actually, no, they share a dorm due to in the military they share the same bunk rooms. As it would sort of be like in the same military style as their bunk room in the military. So they're then just get. Actually, no. While they're getting ready to go to sleep, they see a grape-headed kid peeking through the door, as Hera and Annie would then go to basically beat his ass, as they proceed to do that and head back into the dorm room and lock the door, as they would get, the three of them would then fall asleep. Now, when they get to the heroes versus villains thing, Hera, Annie, and Peak won't be participating. They'll be spectating as they watch, and as they end up watching it, and their fights go about the same as they did in canon. Then we then get to the USJ, as Hera, Peak, and Annie are on the same bus as students, as they then ask questions about them, so like, what is their typical team maneuverability when they're on missions, as they then state that Peak is mainly prioritizes long range. So whenever she's on her Titan form, she's usually holding a snipe. She usually uses a high caliber sniper. Hera is the tank, so she usually charges into the bases to demolish them. And Annie is more or less the agile one and takes out the towers. With Annie, with everybody who wasn't Bakugo or Todoroki or Hera's brother not being impressed, as Bakugo's still salty that he got beaten by Hera, and Hera's brother is still quite salty that he got talked down to by somebody he saw as weaker than him. As once they got to the USJ and 13 did their speech on how quirks could be dangerous, the League of Villains comes out of their portal, as they then state that they are here to kill All Might, with Hera, Peak, and Annie getting ready to shift into their Titan forms, but Aizawa tell them to don't do it as it would probably be there'd be no way for them to actually, hold on, give me a minute for me to come up with something. As he states that your priority is to protect the students at all costs, as Aizawa would then leap down and begin to deal with the villains that were down there. As everybody else was warped away, and Annie and Peak were being held hostage by the Hera, Annie, and Peak were being held hostage by the villains, as Hera would begin to taunt the villains. Now, this villain that she's taunting has a knife, as the villain would get so angry that he would go to slash at her, but Hera pulls up her arm as the villain ends up slashing not only her, but Peak and Annie as well, as they all simultaneously say that he's an idiot, as the yellow lightning would begin to form around them, as a massive bolt of the yellow lightning would strike down where they were. 3 bolts of lightning would strike down where they were, as their titans would begin to form, with Hera and Annie going to deal with the villains quite near to where Aizawa was, and recovering the students. While actually no, they deal with the villains while Peak recovers the students, as Annie and Hera do quite well against all the villains until the Nomu is told to attack Annie, with Annie hardening her body parts, as she would go flying into a mountain, as the Nomu would punch her, would do an uppercut as her Titan's head just pops off as it lands somewhere in the distance, as her Titan just slumps. With Hera seeing this and being immediately enraged, as she would harden her fingers into the claws and grab onto the Nomu, as the Nomu would be struggling to get out, as this part of the jaw, the jaw on the armored Titan was closed, but now it's opened up, as she begins to pull the Nomu closer and closer to her mouth, as when the Nomu was right in her mouth, now she has the arms locked right into her hand, so the Nomu can't do anything. She immediately bites down onto the Nomu, as the Nomu was killed by this, as she would then begin to devour the rest of the Nomu, with Shigaraki scratching his neck, stating that they cheated, with Annie being out of her Titan right now. So Shigaraki immediately runs up to Hera and touches her Titan's leg, as her Titan would begin to decay, as she would be screaming out in pain, in her Titan, as Annie would shift back into her Titan and just put Shigaraki into Kurogiri as Hera's Hera's armor Titan would still be decaying, with Peak coming into the rescue at just the right moment and ripping Hera out from her Titan's nape. Now, this was quite a sloppy job due to her being in a rush, so Hera currently doesn't have her arms nor her legs. So everybody is currently worried about her, but she says that it's fine, this has happened before, and that her arms and legs will grow back within a couple of hours. With the rest of the pros arriving, and all of the villains being rounded up and arrested. And that is where I'm going to leave this off. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time with part 3 to Betty and Xenomorph 1. So I'll see you guys then.